Australia has joined the world's largest trade pact, with 15 nations agreeing to the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. It covers about 30% of global GDP. This was before flying home from a summit of Indo-Pacific leaders in Bangkok. The Prime Minister declared a major victory for a deal that's been, Annalise, 7 years in the making.
Absolutely. Very historic agreement. Joining us live now to discuss this is political reporter Eliza Edwards. Eliza, not everyone was satisfied with the agreement.
No, that's exactly right, Kieran and Annalise. Negotiations have been going on for 7 years for this mammoth trade deal, which was originally designed to capture 16 countries, including Australia, New Zealand, China and Japan. But India is holding out on the deal. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi worried that there'll be a wave of cheap Chinese imports, undermining the local manufacturing sector. And the other 15 countries, though, have decided to press ahead with the deal regardless, without India, in a similar fashion to the way the TPP was moved forward when President Donald Trump withdrew the US. Now, Prime Minister Scott Morrison is about to land back home in Australia, but speaking from Bangkok, he said that the door will be left open for India to join the deal in the future.
Oh, the door will always be open to India, and it's always been our view and of many that sit around the table that this is a bigger and better deal with India in it, and I think patience is the virtue in this.
And Eliza, we've heard from the Deputy Nationals leader this morning. She spoke to our colleague Laura Jays, and Bridget McKenzie's trying to put internal tensions to rest.
Yeah, exactly right. And also trying to clear up any confusion around the farm household allowance. There's been a lot of mixed messages from the Nats about whether these lump sum payments will be made available to farmers on a rolling basis once they reach the end of their farm household allowance. So Bridget McKenzie trying to mop up that mess before the legislation heads to the Senate next week and before Cabinet meets to discuss drought policy tomorrow.
The legislation that's sitting before the Senate next week will make sure that the Minister can make a rule at any time in the future to make additional support available to those farmers doing it tough. And we as a government have made that clear that we're prepared to do that for as long as needed.
One person who could inflame these internal tensions in the Nationals once again is Pauline Hanson, who's again claiming credit for drought policy, saying these improvements that are being made are only possible because of pressure from herself and Bob Katter.
A drought-affected area is a drought-affected area, so people know that they're going to get it. Now, the government was planning on cutting it off after 4 years. There has been a public backlash. It's only because of people like myself and Bob that are on the ground, take it back to Parliament because they're in fear of the public backlash.
Now, Kieran and Annalise, of course, we saw that internal tension cause leadership rumblings for Bridget McKenzie, and she sent a blunt message to her colleagues today: stop bickering and get on with the job.
And I can tell you what those that live out in the country don't want to see. It's bickering and inside backbiting. So they want us to just get on with the job. That's what we're paid to do. It's why we got involved in politics. I'm, just getting on with the job, Laura. I'm getting the FHA legislation in front of the Senate next week. We're debating that, working in our communities for the drought response, looking at new market opportunities for agriculture across the world. So I'm busy getting on with the job. And I suggest to National Party MPs and senators that they get on with the job, because that's the very least we can do for the rural and regional Australians that sent us to Canberra.
So it remains to be seen exactly how the Nationals colleagues will respond to that directive from their deputy leader. Kieran and Annalise?
It does indeed. We will be watching closely. Thanks, Eliza.